Yeah, thank you for coming to this talk in a virtual way. It's been a very strange year, but like I said to Emir, I'm very glad that conferences are still making the effort to do an online version so we can communicate and interact a little bit this way. I'll be talking about building a real-time dashboard with Laravel and Livewire. I should also say that I haven't rehearsed this talk, like you've heard me say in the intro. I only heard yesterday that I'm going to talk, so some things might go wrong, but that isn't really a problem, I think. If something goes wrong, then you can see me fix it and see me making mistakes like everybody. So I'm cool with that. I'm Freek Van der Herten. I'm a partner and a developer at a Belgian company called Spatie. Like many of you, I'm active on Twitter. My handle is Freek Meurze. I mostly tweet about PHP and Laravel stuff. I also have a blog, freek.dev, where I talk about the things in programming that I do. That's mainly developing Laravel applications, services, and packages. My main company, Spatie, it also puts out video courses and software products, which you can see at our company page. And I've also helped building two services, odeer.app, which is an uptime tracker that not only monitors your homepage, but can crawl your entire site and give you a notification when a broken link is found. And also Flare app, which is an exception tracker built for Laravel applications, which we use at our company as well. Now, before heading into the main talk, I want to say a few words about our open source work. We currently have more than 300 packages registered on Packagist. They have been downloaded now for over 100 million times in total, which is kind of mind-blowing, I think. The 1 minute you're just programming on the couch because you like it, and the next thing that happens a couple of years later is that the entire team has created packages with such numbers. And what's even more important than the 100 million download count is I think that people are still downloading them. So they are downloading them at over 5 million times a month, and that number is also growing. So people seem to like them, and it's a good feeling that our stuff can help people. All these packages are free. There's only one snag there. There's a license on there called Postcardware, which means that if one of our packages makes it into your production environment, you have to send us a postcard. And we get postcards from all over the world, which get put on a physical wall in our office, but we also take a picture of them and upload them to our virtual postcard wall on our website. So everybody can enjoy those postcards, and just keep them coming, because this motivates us to create more open source stuff. Okay, with that out of the way, I want to talk a little bit about a dashboard that we are having at our office. And this is a pretty realistic picture of our office. There's nobody there. Our office was pretty empty this year. We've converted a little bit to a semi-remote company. But if people are there, then they can see that TV hanging on the wall here. So let's step a little bit closer and let's see what is being displayed over there. So this is our dashboard. And we've created this with a package that we've published called Laravel Dashboard. But before heading into the technical details, let's take a look at what is displayed on this dashboard. Well, here on the left, we have a Twitter feed where each tweet where Spatie _be is mentioned gets displayed immediately. And at the time where I took this screenshot, somebody tweeted a cat at us. Then we have tiles here for each team member, what they should be doing that week. And I've added some dummy tasks here because our clients, they wouldn't want us to share what we are doing in detail with everybody I give this presentation to. So in our real dashboard, there are real tasks here. You can also see that on a task, when somebody is playing music, we display what song he is playing. And here I was listening to an excellent number by Tool. I can really recommend their latest album. Also, when it's somebody's birthday, it's not in the screenshot now, but we put a crown on the head, which is like a nice touch. I should also say that this music, we used the Last.fm service for this. Last.fm is a service where you can install a little app on your computer and it monitors what you are playing, and they have an API so we can fetch that information. That's where it gets this from. The Twitter feed, it gets that from a real-time Twitter feed. We'll dive into that later. Here on the right, we have the most simple tile, I guess. This is the time and the weather that we display. This here is our calendar tile. It displays events that are important for everybody in our company. This is backed by a Google Calendar, and we use the Google Calendar API to fetch those events. Mostly everybody at our office comes by bike, and in our city where our office is in Antwerp, there is a bike sharing system. And this tile displays how many bikes there are in the nearest bike sharing stations near our office. So when you go out and you can have a quick glance, hey, to which bike sharing station should I go to grab my bike? Here on the left, we have some open source statistics. These are all the stars that we have. The amount of contributors that helped us with our repositories, the amount of open issues and pull requests. These are the bad numbers. We try to keep them a little bit low. And this is the number of downloads we had the last 30 days and the total number of downloads. Now this is an old screenshot. We're now at 106, I think, I believe. Okay, that is what is being displayed at our dashboard. Now let's dive in at how this dashboard works technically. And let me check for time just a bit. Okay, we're good. So I've already said that this dashboard is rendered by a package named Laravel Dashboard. And that is a free open source package. Anybody can use it and install it, just as long as you send us a postcard if you use it for real in your office. And that package, it takes care of the positioning of all the tiles. So we have an easy grid-like system where you can say, hey, this tile should go in the right corner, this tile should go in the middle, this tile should be this wide. The package takes care of that all. And it also takes care of the state. So it can, if you fetch stuff from an API, there is like a dedicated way to save that state. So the next time the dashboard loads, it will be able to display that again. The tiles themselves on the dashboard, there are packages of their own. So in the screenshot, this one is a package, this one is a package, this one is a package. So we make it easy for people that make a package to just put it on Composer and let other people consume it. And we've done that with our packages as well. So everybody can use the tiles that we've created. Now, the special thing about these tiles and the dashboard in general is that it uses Livewire. And in the Laravel community, I have a feeling that Livewire is being embraced in a big way. It's being seen as like a perfectly viable way of introducing interactivity on a page, as opposed to using JavaScript for this. But I guess that some of you, certainly the ones that are not really familiar with what's going on in the Laravel community, have never heard of Livewire. So let me introduce it to you very, very shortly, because there's a lot that can be said about Livewire. It could easily be a talk or like a series of talks on its own. So Livewire is a package a free open source package made by a hero called Caleb Porzio. And what this package shortly said does is it provides server rendered partials. So you can, using Livewire, you can create a component, and there are certain hooks in those in that component. And when you first initial render the page, then the component will render itself to HTML. And when there's something that changes to the state of that component, then the component will re-render its own HTML, and that new HTML will replace the old one. So if you're familiar with Vue and React, this is basically the same, but it happens on the server, and any updates that must happen on the server will be transmitted via HTML. We'll see an example for that a little bit later. Refreshes are done through polling. You might scream now, what are we going to poll? But it's actually not that bad for a whole lot of use cases, really. And I got a few slides where I talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. If you want to know more about Livewire, just head to laravel-livewire.com. There's excellent documentation, and there's even a video course to get you started with it. Now, I've already talked a lot without showing any code. I tend to prefer talks that are very practical. So we are going to stop with the slides here, and we are going to move to practical things as well. So I've already prepared a Laravel application here in which I have installed Laravel Dashboard. Now, let me just show you where you can find the docs. Maybe that's also important. So on our website, we have a documentation section. We have a lot of packages here, and one of them is Laravel Dashboard. And here, you'll basically also find everything that I'm going to say about this dashboard. Okay, so I've already installed the package. And you can see that in this project, we only have one view, the dashboard view. And now it's an empty view. And it's really this one. If I type something here and refresh, then you see that we get that change here. Now, how do you start with the dashboard? It's just by creating an HTML tag called xDashboard, like that. And you don't see anything here, but if you looked carefully, then you saw that the background changes, and this is like the gray background of our dashboard. So it is working. If you're not familiar with like the X tags, that's basically a new way in Laravel to have an include of an other view. If you use normal Blade, then you can include views like this, and I guess that in Twig it will work rather similarly, and you can add, you can pass variables by adding like an array here. But in a recent version of Laravel, this syntax was very much improved by allowing such specialized HTML tags. I really like it. And how you can pass information here is just by adding attributes, and they will be passed to the view that renders this HTML tag. Okay, so we already have this, but of course this is very boring. There's nothing to be displayed. So let's add our first tile here. So all our tiles are Livewire tiles, and how you can include Livewire stuff is by using Livewire here, and then the name of the tile. And you can see that we have a bunch of tiles here, and I got a plugin that recognizes which Livewire components that there are, and I want to display the time weathered tile. So you saw that on the picture I showed you from our dashboard as well. And I got an error here. Unable to resolve dependency position. So yeah, I forgot to pass in the position of this tile. Like I've said in the beginning, I've not rehearsed it, so you might see such error like this. So I must say, hey, where should it be positioned? So A1, and there you can see it. It's a very wide tile now. We have the date, we have the hour, we have the weather. This doesn't look right because this is now like the only tile being displayed. So let me display the same tile, but at another position, and then I'll talk a little bit about the positioning. This one at C3. And now it starts a little bit looking like a dashboard where you can place tiles. So how does this positioning work? Well, you should think of the dashboard a little bit like an Excel, where all the rows are numbered, so 1, 2, 3, and all the columns have F letters, so A, B, C. So A1 is the top left corner, and C3 is the bottom right corner, like that. So if I do another one here in B2, then it should be displayed in the middle, like that. So how do we accomplish this behavior? Well, we do this with CSS Grids. So I'm not going to dive into CSS Grids too much. Maybe I can just show it for people that are familiar with it. It should be somewhere here. Ah, yeah, here, grid area. So here you can see that we translate A1, B1, C3 to these grid area notations. And this isn't something that we invented. This is not a default. How you say that in English? A standard in CSS to position things. So that's in a nutshell how we do that. I should also say that you can also use ranges here. So if you want to make this style a little bit wider, then you can do A1, B1, and then we should have a wider tile like that. Or you can make it a little bit taller, then you do A1, A2, and then it's a little bit taller. And that is how you position things on the dashboard. While the dashboard is still simple, I'm going to show you another cool thing that we can do. In the config file of the dashboard, there's a setting for theme. And I know that developers like this, so let's try out dark mode here. If I do dark here, then we also have a dark mode going on here. We also have an auto mode built in. And this is kind of nice. So we will use the light theme when the sun is up, and we will use the dark theme when the sun is down. And you might wonder, how do you know if the sun is down? Well, if you give us a location, then we can pass that to built-in functions in PHP. Yes, PHP has functions to determine whether the sun is up or not. And it will just tell us, hey, it's the sun is up or the sun is down, and then we determine the theme here. So that's that. Let's go back to this this view, and let's maybe add another tile that I can explain how all of this works behind the scenes. Let me think. What would be the best way? I'm going to use the calendar tile. So we're going to we're going to use the calendar tile. I should not forget to position it. And we are going to use maybe B1, B2, something like that. And then refresh it. And then I should see a calendar tile. And for now, it's empty. I've said at the beginning that we use the Google Calendar to fetch the events that should be displayed here. I'm thinking about the right order how to explain this to you all. Let's maybe just use the life cycle, just how it happens behind the scenes in order as well. So let's go to the calendar tile component itself. So I've said that all the tiles are packages of their own. So here we are in the vendor directory, Spatie vendor, and you can see here that we have those other tiles here. And you can see that the dashboard tile, it's very small, actually. It's only 4 classes. And if I open up the resource, then we have a view here, which is what gets rendered here. I'm going to talk about the view part later. Let's first take a look at how we fetch the data. So we have a command here. And in Laravel, and I guess in Symfony 2, a command is just something that you can run on the command line. This is what we can run. So dashboard fetch calendar events, and you can see it fetches events from a Google Calendar. What happens here is just communicating with the API through the event class. That is not that important. You can just regard this as just fetching the API. It's more important to see what happens with it. So what happens with it is if we fetched all the events, then we pass it to something that we call a calendar store. And it's a kind of store class, which is the second class in this package. So the first one was command where we fetch the data. With the store class, we will just store the data we get somewhere. And it's basically a wrapper around a tile object. And a tile object is a model so it's just a table in the database where state of a tile is being stored and used. So here you can see if we set something here, this is the method that we used in that command, then we are going to call put data on the tile, and put data on the tile, that is just updating the data with it. Let's maybe do it so you can see it first, so it's not that abstract. So let's just execute that command. Let's maybe make this a little bit bigger. Execute this to show you that there's really no tricks going on here. You can see here, this is the database that backs that application. This is that tiles table. And you can see that for each tile, we have some state. For the weather, we already had some things. For the calendar tile, we have nothing. So let's just execute that, fetching calendar event. And if I refresh here, then you can see that we have some events here. And if I go back to the dashboard, they should already be displayed. So you can see that we already got the data here. Now, how this refresh works, I'm going to dive into that now. So this tile, I've already said, is a Livewire component. How can I start with explaining this? How it will get the data is by re-rendering itself every few seconds. Let me show you that. So if I go to the network tab, if we wait a little bit, then you will see requests here going on where you see that this tile is re-rendering itself. For this talk, I've put the polling on a couple of seconds so we can see it happening. On the real dashboard, this polling only happens once a minute or something. If I take a look and see at what is being sent here back, then you can see that now it's nothing because it hasn't changed. But if it has changed, then it will send in our HTML, and it will replace the HTML it will use that HTML, that new HTML from the server, to replace here what's in the DOM. And it does that in an efficient way. It uses a library called morph DOM. So if nothing has changed, then no DOM operation will take place. If only a title is changed, then via JavaScript, only that title will be changed. But you as a developer shouldn't worry about that. It just happens magically behind the scenes. Let's maybe try and add something to the tile so you can see that it actually works. So I have that calendar here. So I'm going to put here, I'm going to put it on the dashboard calendar, PHPKonf, like that. Whoops. Then we are going to run that command again. And you can see here that PHPKonf is here. And if the browser doesn't want that. Yeah, okay. But here you see that because there was a change, now HTML has been passed from the server and it is being placed right here. So that is the magic of Livewire. Now let's take a look at what you need to do as a developer to create a Livewire component. So that is the third class in this package, the tile component itself. Make a little bit more room here. So you can already see that this is a ridiculously small class. So there's really almost nothing you need to do to make all of this this work. We have a mount method, and the mount method, that's basically the method that will be called when your component will be initially rendered, and it gets it gets some properties, and these are the properties that you pass to the view. So if we go back to that dashboard view here, you can see that we passed here position. That position thing, you'll get it here in the component. So this component knows where it should be rendered. You can also see that there's that there are a couple of, or basically all parameters are optional for this component. You can put in a calendar ID here for if you use multiple Google calendars. You can put in a title here, which will be rendered. Maybe let's try that out and see if that works. So title, hey, let's see if for this I need to refresh. Do I render the title? Yeah, there you have the title for the component. Let's remove that because it isn't that useful, like that. Back to the calendar tile component. So yeah, in the mount method, we get those properties that are passed as attributes to the component. These properties, we will set them as public properties on the class itself. And every property that is being set on the class will be transmitted, will be used in the view side of things as well. So the second method that we have here, so we had the mount, is the render method. And here we are going to render the view, and it's a blade view. If you're not familiar with Laravel, this is the same as a twig view. So here you can see that we actually render the HTML that is there. And if I change something here, hey everybody, then we should see it in our view, I think. Yeah, and there we have it. So we're polling the whole time. Something has changed in the view. The HTML is being re-rendered and being replaced there. So maybe try this one. Now timestamp, something like that. And you can see that every time it's something different. So this is the Unix timestamp. Yeah, you can see that we poll now for every 3 seconds. Maybe go back to the tile component to see if I need to say something about this. Yeah. So here we use our calendar store to fetch all the events that we have in the database. So if I refresh here, then you can see here that we have all events here now, and we use our calendar store. If I go to events for calendar a bit, we use our event store to massage the data a little bit, to transform it into something that we can easily work with in the view, and we return that to the view. And you can see here that refresh interval in seconds is also passed, and I guess that I set this to 3 seconds. So this is where it gets that 3 seconds from. Okay, let's go to the view itself. So this is the HTML that is rendered. Here you can see that when a tile is set, we are going to add another tile here. Here you can see that loop where we loop through each event and we display it. So this is actually what you see in the HTML here. So this is, or in the browser here. So these are all these events. And that is basically all there is to it if you want to create a tile package of your own. So you must have some kind of command that fetches the data. You must have some kind of way of storing the data, and you could use the store and a tile model for that, but it's not mandatory. If you want to do it in another way, that's fine too. But I thought it's nice for the dashboard to provide a tile component. I don't know if I made that clear, but that tile model itself, that lives in the Laravel dashboard base package. So every tile can make use of that table. So when you're making a tile package, you know for sure that there is a tile model where you can save things to. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. But if you, for your component, want to store your state in a JSON file and work with that, go ahead. You can do that too. So you should have a command, optionally a store. You should definitely have a Livewire component and a view. Those are the only things that you need to have. Oh, there is also the service provider. I don't count that class really, but it's kind of important to have to. This sets does some setup for this package. I think basically every Laravel package has this, and it just has some configuration. Here we say, hey, this package has a Livewire component, and we are going to use this name in the HTML, and then it should invoke this component class. We should register that command that we have. We should publish a certain view. So if some people that want to consume your tile and they want to make changes to it, they can publish this view into their own project and make changes there without them having to be in the package code itself. Okay, let's go one time back to the view of the calendar itself, because there's one thing that I haven't explained yet. And that is like how the positioning and the refresh interval really works, because you haven't seen any code of how where this positioning, where these CSS classes are being generated. Well, some of you might already have seen it, but in this view, we also use another component, the dashboard tile component. And this dashboard tile component, if I locate this source here, then you can see that it lives in the base package as well. So if you want to create a tile, you can just make use of that tile component that we provide. You should pass the position and the refresh interval to it, and that component will do all the rest for you. Now let's dive into that component itself and see how it does that. So this is the dashboard tile component. It also renders a view for its own, the tile view. If I go to resources, view tile, then you can see it here. And this is an important variable here, slot. And slot means everything that is between the brackets of this component should be passed here. So if I go to Laravel Dashboard calendar tile, all of this HTML will be rendered here. So we're basically just wrapping everything from the tile in yet another div with some attributes here. Now, when I clicked this dashboard tile, you saw it jumping to a class, because before rendering the tile component, this class will massage the data a little bit. So it will transform the position before giving it to its own tile view. And let's take a look at what we do with position here. Here you can see that we give position to a function called convert to grid area. And here you can see that we convert that Excel-like notation, like A1 colon B1, to those grid-like notations. I'm not going to dive into it here, but yeah, this is where that magic happens. So in our view, we have grid area because we've put it as public property here. And if I then go to our tile view, then we should see that in style grid area here. So that is how that magic works. That refresh interval in seconds that we pass here, it will be used in the tile view here as well. And we just add to our div a Livewire directive called wire poll, and we just give it that value, in our case 3, and then S. And that's basically everything that Livewire needs to start the polling behavior. But yeah, I thought it was nice to wrap that up as well. So as a tile developer, you don't need to worry about that. Just give us the refresh interval and we will do the right things. And that is basically how this component works, and all the other components work in a similar fashion. If I open up another tile, which one? Yeah, maybe this one, the Twitter tile. Then you can see that it's also a very small package. There are only a couple of commands here. If I open up the Oh Dear tile, then you can also see that it is very small. It's just easy to create a tile like this. Now let's have a little bit of fun with like the tweet tile. I'm going to put that tweet tile onto our dashboard. Livewire. It's the Twitter tile. I'm going to position it as the last one in the dashboard. So C1 to C3. Yeah, that's correct. Let's refresh it. And we have it here. And we basically have no tweets. We have no tweets in our database. And then, yeah, then they are rendered to nothing here. And that Twitter package that you see here is also one that we open sourced. And it basically has a command that will start listening for tweets on the Twitter timeline. And it will filter out tweets where there's spatie_be in the name. When it hears that, it will put that into the database, into Twitter default here. This one is also re-rendering itself every couple of seconds. And because something is added to that to the table, the Twitter component will get it. It will re-render itself, and the tweet will be rendered. Now I can also talk about that a lot, but let's just show you that it actually works. I'm going to put this in the middle because I like that a little bit more. Or maybe let's just leave it like it is. Let's just try it out. So I'm going to start dashboard. I think it's listen Twitter mentions. Now we're listening for Twitter mentions. And if everything is good, if anybody tweets something, oh, sorry, then yeah, I should be here, but not here, but here. Like that. Spatie._be. Hey, let's try it. Come on. Something. There you have it. So it works. So if you're listening to this presentation, just try tweeting something at Spatie_be, and it will show up here. I'll leave this for a couple of seconds. If there aren't any nasty things coming in, I'll just leave it here, and everybody can have their own moment of glory here. Let's take a look at what I should say more about the code base. I think I guess I said it all. Yeah, let's go back to the presentation. I already hinted to this in the beginning of the presentation, that some of you might think, hey, polling, is that really the right way to do something like this? Shouldn't you use like WebSockets and be really real time? Well, our previous dashboard was built this way. In our previous dashboard, we used WebSockets to transmit new data, and the tiles were rendered with Vue. And they used a package, a first-party package in Laravel called Echo, to listen for WebSockets. And the application, it just transmitted something to WebSocket server, which transmitted it to the Vue. And this was basically a single Laravel application. So tiles weren't there, separate packages. It was just one big application. And the cool thing about WebSockets is that it is really real time. As soon as an event comes in, then a WebSocket was being fired and it got on the dashboard. And there's another big plus side is that there's really no meaningful extra load when there's an extra client being connected. So imagine that there are like 1,000 people opening the same dashboard, then they all just listen for the event, and when the event comes in, then it gets displayed. Where if you use something like Livewire, it's going to poll. So if 1,000 people are going to open up your dashboard, every time that one of those clients poll, that's a request on your server. So yeah, with WebSockets, there's less load. That's true. But there are also some downsides. The tech stack is more complicated because you need a WebSocket server, you need a front-end library for this. You also need like a build process whenever there changes something to your Vue or React components. So it's generally a little bit harder to set up than Livewire, but you get less load. And here are the plus and the downsides for Livewire. It's a simpler tech stack. It's just an application in a database. You don't need anything going on for WebSockets. You don't even need like a front-end framework to get real-time behavior. And it's now easy to package up tiles, so people can just share code with others via a couple of classes, like I've shown you. And it's also up to date from the first render because we just use what's in the database. So if you open up the dashboard for the first time, we just render what's in the database. There are also some downsides here. It's not really real time, but it's very, very close. You know, with like the calendar tile and even the Twitter tile, I don't mind if there's like new data coming in like a minute later, because this dashboard, it needs to be a little bit quiet. It hangs in our office. We don't want to have it flashing the whole time. And anything critical, we get via Slack, via real notifications. And we shouldn't put anything critical or even sensitive information on our dashboard, because others can see it too. Clients that are in our office or other people that enter our office can see the dashboard too. So we don't want to have any sensitive data there. So it's not real time, but it's close and it's good enough. And another downside is that, yeah, like I've said, that load increases with every user. But, you know, this dashboard is only being used at our office. And I guess that most people will also just use it in one or two places maximum. Now, these are strange times. Everybody in our office, everybody in our company works from home. They open the dashboard from their browser. So that's like 10 dashboards that are opened. Our server can handle that. Our server can really handle a couple of tens of requests per second. So yes, the load is a little bit higher, but it's basically no problem. And what I also see a little bit as a downside is that Livewire isn't an industry standard like WebSockets or Vue, but yet is between brackets, because I think that this idea is so good that it will catch on. And you'll see this idea of server render templates in other languages as well. Now, Caleb, the creator of Livewire, he didn't invent that idea. The original idea came from, I think his name is Chris McCord, from the Elixir community, where, yeah, they're also doing crazy things with this idea, because Elixir is so performant. They can like create real-time games with it, which is, yeah, astonishing to see. So we're nearing the end of the presentation. So let me summarize what we've seen here. Laravel Dashboard is an easy-to-use package. You can use it to set up a dashboard in no time. Like I've shown you, tiles can be created multiple times on one dashboard. So it's very easy to create something like a Twitter wall with this. You can do it in like a couple of minutes. We have extensive documentation, like I've shown you, and I want to go one time back to the docs to show you this list, adding tiles. Here we have links to the tiles we use ourselves, but meanwhile the community has stepped in, and there are a lot of tiles for other things as well. Let me show you a very impressive one. So in the Laravel community, it's not Valet, it's Vapor. In the Laravel community, there's a solution for running applications on AWS. It's called Vapor. And we have a tile where all metrics from Vapor are being displayed. So this is a tile or a collection of tiles that displays how your serverless application is doing, how your cache is doing, how the database is doing. And yeah, I've used the word mind-blowing a few times, but you can set this up in a couple of minutes, which is quite nice. So in our documentation, you'll find a lot of tiles that could be useful for you as well. Let's go back to the presentation. There's one more thing that I want to say. If you enjoyed this walkthrough of the package, then you'll be happy to know that there are a few more videos on our website where I go through the packages, and we even created a course for learning how to create a package like this one. So a couple of videos are free, a couple of videos we sell them. So you'll learn in the Laravel package training to build framework agnostic PHP and Laravel packages. We use the best practices. We use GitHub Actions to perform things like tests and Psalm. Like I've said, we do some source dive of packages, and there are 4 hours of video there. You'll get bored of my voice if you see all those 4 hours. And you can see that at spatie.be videos Laravel package training. Now, to thank you for watching, I want to offer you this link. If you go to this if you use this link to go to our site, you'll get a 20% discount. And on this page, you'll see a link to the Laravel package training as well. I'll put a link to this presentation on Twitter and in the Discord in a couple of minutes if you don't write this down. So that is everything that I want to say. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to know more about the things that I'm creating, go to my blog, freek.dev, or follow me on Twitter. Thanks.